You ever catch yourself freaking out over a typo in an email, and suddenly your brain's like, "Welp, that's it. Time to quit my job, move into a cave, and raise raccoons?" Or maybe someone doesn't text back for a few hours and your mind goes full Netflix drama. They hate me. They're ghosting me. They've probably joined a cult. Yeah, same. But what if I told you, those little moments, the overthinking, the nail-biting, the endless what if spiral, they might be more than just quirks. They might be your brain waving a bright red flag, saying, "Hey, something deeper's going on here." In this video, we're unpacking 7 totally normal-looking behaviors that might secretly be signs of mental health issues, like anxiety, OCD, or depression. We're not here to diagnose, but if anything hits a little too close to home, maybe it's worth listening to what your mind's been trying to say. So stick around, because understanding your brain is way cooler than constantly battling it. And hey, hit that subscribe button if you've ever argued with yourself for 30 minutes over what to have for dinner. This one's for you. Okay, picture this. You send an email with a typo. Harmless, right? But suddenly your brain's like, pack your bags, you're getting fired, going bankrupt, and fighting squirrels over crusty pizza in a back alley. Sound familiar? This isn't just being a little dramatic. This is what psychologists call catastrophic thinking. It's like your brain hired a personal horror film director, and they specialize in turning spilled coffee into the emotional equivalent of Titanic. Speaker high volume. Your boss sounds mildly annoyed on a call. Normal brain. Rough day. Catastrophic brain. I've ruined everything. They hate me. I'll never work again. Also, my cat definitely resents me. This kind of thinking feels productive, like you're being prepared. But in reality, it's just your brain playing the what-if game on expert mode. And spoiler alert, you never win. These mental disaster reels feel real. Like your mind is broadcasting breaking news from a future that hasn't, and probably won't, happen. It's exhausting, right? But here's the truth. Most of the things we panic about never actually happen. And when life does throw curveballs, we're usually way better at dealing with them than we give ourselves credit for. So next time your brain starts shouting, "Emergency! You forgot to use an emoji in that text and now everyone hates you," try this. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what else could be true? Because not every small mistake means the sky is falling. Sometimes, it's just a typo. So you're chatting with a friend, and you make a tiny joke, nothing wild, just a harmless comment. They pause. They don't laugh. And suddenly, your brain slams the red panic button like it's launching a missile. They hate me. I ruined everything. Why did I even say that? I'm the worst. Welcome to the mental roller coaster that is rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or as it's known in the psychological world, RSD. Translation: rejection feels like a full-on emotional earthquake, not just a bad day. And no, this isn't being dramatic. It's how some brains are wired, especially if you have ADHD. For people with RSD, even perceived rejection, keyword, perceived, feels like betrayal. A delayed text, fearful face. A friend acting slightly distant, weary face. A neutral face screaming in fear. Q. Emotional implosion. Here's what it might look like. You try so hard to be perfect so no one gets upset with you. You bend over backward just to avoid the possibility of criticism. Or sometimes, you just explode. Crying, snapping, withdrawing, because your brain feels under attack. And here's the twist. The rejection doesn't even have to be real. Your brain sees a flicker of disconnection and hits DEFCON 1. This can make relationships tough. Not because you don't care. Actually, it's the opposite. You care so much that every little hiccup feels like a rejection tsunami. And let's be real, trying to get close to someone while secretly bracing for them to leave? That's not just exhausting, it's lonely. But here's the compassion part. People with RSD aren't overreacting for attention. They're reacting because their nervous system treats minor setbacks like full-blown danger. It's not drama. It's neurology. So next time someone flips out over what seems like nothing, take a beat. They might be wrestling with a brain that mistakes quiet moments for rejection bombs. And if that someone is you, you're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You're just carrying a brain that feels pain, louder than most. Let's talk about that one friend who always bites their nails during movies. Or maybe you're the one who finds yourself picking at that one spot on your skin, again. No judgment. But here's the thing, this might be more than just a bad habit. Say hello to BFRBs, body-focused repetitive behaviors. Sounds fancy, but it basically means your brain is waving a distress flag, and your hands are answering it. These are things like nail biting, not just nibbling, but down to the bleeding quick. Skin picking, yes, even at perfectly healthy skin, until it's raw or scarred. Hair pulling, strand by strand from your scalp, eyebrows, or lashes, until bald patches appear. And before you say, well, just stop doing it, trust me, they've tried. Most people with BFRBs don't even realize when they're doing it. It's like their hands are on autopilot, obeying some secret message from the brain. Fix it. Fix it now. The weird part. There's often a moment of relief when it's happening. Like scratching an itch you didn't even know you had. But right after? Shame. Guilt. Pain. And then the cycle starts all over again. Why does this happen? Usually, it ramps up during stress or anxiety. It's the brain's way of saying, I feel out of control, so let's create a physical problem I can control. Twisted logic, right? But oh so human. And here's the kicker. BFRBs are often linked to anxiety disorders, OCD, or trauma. They're not about lack of discipline or gross habits. They're coping strategies your brain has turned into rituals. So if you, or someone you know, is dealing with this, it's not laziness. It's not attention-seeking. It's a sign that the brain is under pressure, and it's crying out the only way it knows how. The good news? Help exists. There are therapies, tools, and communities. But the first step is the most powerful one. Recognizing that this isn't just a habit, it's a signal. Okay, confession time. Have you ever had to check if the door was locked? Twice? 3 times? Okay, 7? Just to be sure? Now, for most people, that's a harmless little quirk. But for some, it's way more than that. It's not just about locks or light switches, it's about survival. Or at least, that's what their brain tells them. Welcome to the hidden world of OCD rituals. Spoiler alert, it's not just about being neat, tidy, or type A. For people with OCD, rituals don't feel optional. They feel urgent. Compulsions like washing your hands until they're red and raw, tapping objects a certain number of times before leaving the house, arranging your desk in perfect symmetry, or rereading one sentence 20 times because something feels off. And here's the thing, it's not about logic. It's about fear. Deep, creeping, all-consuming fear. Because somewhere deep in their brain, there's a voice whispering, if you don't do this, something bad will happen. You know what's worse? The rituals don't even work. Not really. Sure, they might offer a tiny bit of relief, like briefly shutting off a blaring alarm. But it never lasts. Soon, the anxiety kicks the door down again, louder this time. And the brain demands you do the ritual again. Maybe more intensely. Maybe longer. It's a trap. And from the outside, these behaviors might look odd or excessive. But from the inside, they feel like the only thing standing between you and total catastrophe. Now here's the twist. People with OCD know the rituals don't make sense. They're fully aware the world won't end if their pens aren't in rainbow order. But the fear isn't rational. It's primal. It hijacks the logic center and starts pulling all the levers. So the next time you see someone triple-check the stove or panic over a bad thought they can't get out of their head, pause. They're not doing this for attention. They're battling a misfiring alarm system every single day. And if that person is you, You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're human. And your brain, just like anyone else's, deserves compassion and care. You ever bite into your favorite snack, like the one that usually makes your soul do a little happy dance, and it tastes like nothing? Cardboard. You laugh at a joke out of politeness, but you don't feel it. Your best friend shares amazing news, and all you can muster is, cool. This isn't about being bored or moody. This is called anhedonia, which is just a fancy term for the joy is gone. Here's the thing. Your brain has a reward system. Normally, when something good happens, like a hug, a win, or that first bite of warm fries, your brain lights up like a cozy fireplace. Dopamine floods in. You feel good. But with anhedonia, that joy circuit short-circuits. You see the fire, but you can't feel the warmth. There are two flavors of this. Social anhedonia, when hanging out with people, friends, family, even your partner, feels flat, disconnected, like watching life through a window. Physical anhedonia, when food, touch, music, things that used to spark something, now feel hollow. You might think, maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I've outgrown fun. But this isn't just a phase or a funk. It's often a symptom of something deeper. Major depressive disorder, anxiety, prolonged burnout, or even trauma. And the worst part? You might not even realize it's happening until someone points it out. You just know that everything feels a little muted. Like your emotional volume dial got turned all the way down. But let's be clear. This isn't your fault. You're not being difficult or lazy. Your brain is literally struggling to process joy. And pretending to snap out of it doesn't fix wiring. So if you've been feeling like the world has lost its color, if things that should make you happy just feel like checking boxes on a list, pause. Not to judge yourself, but to listen. Because your brain might be whispering something it needs help with. And that numbness? It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're hurting, quietly. And you deserve to be heard just as much as anyone else. You ever send a text, and 5 minutes later you're already spiraling? Why haven't they replied? Did I say something wrong? Wait, should I follow up? Or will that make it worse? Oh no. So you text again. And maybe again. And when they finally respond with, no, I'm not mad, you feel a wave of relief, for like 30 seconds. Then the whisper comes back. But what if they're just saying that? Welcome to excessive reassurance seeking, also known as the brain's version of hitting the refresh button on anxiety, over and over again. This isn't about being clingy or needy. It's about having an internal alarm system that won't shut off until someone else says, you're okay. Even then, it doesn't stay quiet for long. Maybe it looks like asking your friend or partner the same question multiple times. Confessing some tiny mistake from 2015 just to hear, it's okay. Googling symptoms until you convince yourself a tension headache is a brain tumor. Each answer is like a drip of calm. Temporary. Addictive. Then gone. And here's the twist. People who do this, they already know the answer. They're not looking for new info. They're looking for a break from the uneasy, itchy feeling that something's wrong, even if nothing is. The danger? The more you rely on reassurance, the more your brain starts needing it. Like a habit loop. I feel anxious, I ask, I feel better, I feel anxious again, I ask again. And that tiny hit of relief just keeps reinforcing the behavior. It's a cycle. Not a weakness. Not attention-seeking. Just your brain trying to claw its way to certainty in a world that doesn't offer guarantees. And let's be honest, living like this is exhausting. Not just for the person going through it, but for the people around them who love them and don't always know how to help. So if you find yourself asking, are you sure? More than you'd like. Or you know someone who can't stop checking. Remember, they're not being annoying. They're stuck in a loop, looking for peace in a place their brain can't seem to find it. But the good news? Awareness is power. And the first step out of the loop is knowing it's not you being too much. It's your nervous system begging to feel safe. You open Netflix. You're just trying to find something to watch. 1 hour later, you've watched 37 trailers, read 14 synopses, and somehow picked nothing. Or you're in the grocery store staring at 57 kinds of cereal. Do you want oats? Corn flakes? High fiber? Low sugar? And then it hits you. What if I pick the wrong one and hate it? What if this cereal ruins my morning? What if people judge my cart? You leave with nothing. Again. This, my friend, is decision paralysis. And it's not just being indecisive. It's your brain going into meltdown mode over everyday choices. Here's what's happening. Your brain treats even small decisions like their life or death. Like ordering lunch becomes the equivalent of disarming a bomb. It runs every possible what-if scenario. What if the food sucks? What if I regret it? What if I make the wrong choice and everyone thinks I'm weird? So instead of choosing, you freeze. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much. And the fear of regret, judgment, or failure completely hijacks your ability to move forward. And it doesn't stop at lunch or Netflix. It spills into everything. Choosing a career. Leaving a relationship that's not working. Starting a project, or saying yes to something new. Your brain waits for this magical moment of perfect certainty, but it never arrives. And so, decisions get delayed. Life gets postponed. You end up stuck in a limbo made of maybes. Nearly 1 in 5 adults deal with anxiety disorders that can fuel this kind of mental gridlock. And for those people, every choice comes with the crushing weight of imaginary consequences. But here's the real talk. There's no perfect choice. There's just the next choice. And even if you get it wrong, that doesn't mean you failed. It means you tried, and that's a win. So if you've spent 30 minutes picking between 2 t-shirts, or if you're paralyzed at the idea of making any move, please hear this. You're not lazy. You're not flaky. You're anxious. And your brain is trying to protect you, just a little too hard. So, let's get real for a second. If you saw yourself in any of these moments, from disaster thinking to nail-biting, from the endless reassurance loop to Netflix panic paralysis, you're not crazy. You're not broken. You're just human, with a brain that might be a little overwhelmed, a little tired, or trying a little too hard to keep you safe. And here's the kicker. Most of these behaviors, they look normal on the outside. People smile through them, work through them, live through them. But inside, it can feel like you're holding a storm at bay with duct tape and positive vibes. So if that's you, this is your permission slip. To pause. To get curious instead of critical. To realize that what looks like a quirk might actually be a quiet cry for help. And help. It's out there. Therapy. Support. Tools. You don't have to fight your brain alone. Because mental illness doesn't always show up as a total collapse. Sometimes it shows up as perfectionism, as overthinking, as trying so hard to seem okay, when you're not. And knowing that, that's not weakness. That's power. Speech balloon. So tell me, did any of this hit home for you? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. You never know who needs to see that they're not the only one. Bell, and hey, if this helped you feel a little more seen, a little more understood, hit that subscribe button. Because your brain deserves content that gets it. Direct hit. Take care of yourself. Genuinely. You matter, even on the days your brain tries to convince you otherwise.